So I received a ton of comments on my how to change your brake video on how to bleed your brakes. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today. But first, I wanna say thank you to the over 150,000 people who watched that how to change your brake video I put up 2 weeks ago. And the hundreds of amazing comments I got. I can't thank you guys enough for not only viewing, but taking the time to comment. Thank you guys so very much. Let's get straight to how to bleed your brakes. Now, if you watch any of my videos, you guys know I like to get straight to it. But when we're talking about dealing with brakes, brake bleeding, there's a couple disclaimers that you have to know. And there's a process and how you go about doing this. First, if you're dealing with a car with ABS, anti-lock brakes, which majority of you will have, don't let your brake master cylinder run dry. If you do, you're gonna most likely need a scan tool to complete the process. Second, if you have an electronic parking brake, which means you don't have one of these little levers or something at the foot that you push, it's a button or something, it's a little risky to do this job because typically you have to put the calipers in what's called a service mode, and that can only be done with a special tool that only most dealers have. Might want to avoid this. And last but not least, you want to start with the wheel furthest away from the brake master cylinder. And in more cases than not, it's going to end up being the passenger rear tire. And then you work your way forward. Passenger rear, driver rear. We're going to work on the passenger front, and then last would be your driver's front. We're going to be doing the one-man bleeder method, and you need to pick up one of these in order to do so. Now, this is about $12 on Amazon or your local hardware store, and quite honestly, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with this. Am I bleeding a Hot Wheels, a Matchbox? It's going to take a year. This is $12. This hose cost me 39 cents at Ace Hardware. That's it. Do this. Save yourself some scratch. All right, so we take an old bottle, we drill a hole, put our hose in, submerge it in brake fluid, because when we're pumping the brake, we want to make sure we're not sucking air back into the system. Let's get to it. Once you've made your little one-man bleeder kit, easy peasy, come over to your brake master cylinder and pop the cap. You want to keep an eye on this. I wouldn't pump the pedal more than 5 to 8 times before I came back and checked it to make sure I'm not running dry, because if you do, especially with a vehicle with anti-lock brakes, you're not going to be able to complete this job properly. So keep an eye on this. The key to the next step is to actually have your bottle situated below your bleeder valve, which is right here. But you want your hose at some point to be above this bleeder valve right here. That way air can't get back in the system and gravity forces the rest down. Now I'm going to take my hose, I'm going to put it right over the bleeder valve, and it should fit nice and snug, just like that. Next, I'm going to take a 10mm box wrench. Usually there's a 10mm, and I'm just going to crack this bleeder valve. It's usually about a quarter turn to maybe a half a turn. That's all you really need. We're going to open this up, just like that. At this point, I'm going to go in the vehicle and I'm going to pump the brakes. I'm going to count to 5, and you should see the fluid start to move through the tube and even potentially some air bubbles. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the while, I'm keeping in mind my brake master cylinder. There's 5 pumps. I checked the master cylinder and everything looks okay so far. We still have plenty of fluid. So we're going to give another 10 pumps and kind of see where we sit from there. After 15 pumps of the pedal, you can see we're already below the add line. We were at the full when we started. That's how fast this stuff goes. So we're going to take some new brake fluid juice, put this in, top it back off, and we'll start the process all over again. Once you have successfully bled that particular caliper you're working on, take your box wrench, tighten up the bleed valve, pinch the hose, and pull it off. Now you're going to repeat that process over and over and over on each wheel, keeping in mind a couple things. Once you don't see any more bubbles in that clear line hose, that means you've bled the brakes properly. Now, if you're doing a brake flush and you're trying to replace the old brake fluid, you're going to keep pumping that brake until the liquid you see through that line is clear. Next, this is a relatively easy job. Don't let it overwhelm you. After you've done all the calipers, you see no more air on those lines, get inside her and push those brakes. They're going to feel sloppy at first, really loose. That's normal. Keep pressing them until you start to build up some pressure. Eventually that pedal will be stiff. You're good to go. I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. It was your comments on my DIY how to change your brake video that led to this video. So thank you guys. If you have any questions on this particular job that I didn't go over in the video, comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer. See you guys on the next video.